Welcome, everybody. We are back with the Waiting Room Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Waite. I have been gone. Unfortunately, I wasn't banished. I was placed on a military installation that did not recognize it as 2021, and they don't see the need for Wi-Fi. So we've been gone from the show for a little bit. We'll keep trying to pump shows out, but that's the reason that I've been gone for the past week and a half. Today, I just want to cover a few subjects again. Some of it's old news, but I really wanted to cover some of the stuff that's happened over the past week, how I felt about it, and I want to go over. You know what? I feel like I deserve a little bit of credit. I do. I do want to accept my Hater of the Year award for hating the Milwaukee Bucks all the way to an NBA championship. I've spoken on this next subject before as well. I do want to talk about Trevor Bauer and what is going on with him and his current situation with Major League Baseball. I also want to cover some of the new COVID rules in regards to the NFL and what I believe is kind of an overstepping of some civil freedoms. And lastly, again, I kind of want to just go over why I get up to what I get up to. Sometimes I make decisions not always in the best interest of myself, not always in the best interest of some of the people around me. But for those of you that are curious, hey, why does Kyle do some weird, silly shit? I just wanted to throw it out there. So again, at the top, I just want to start out with saying, for all of those out there, I appreciate and accept this award wholly. I do accept the Hater of the Year award. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks win the NBA championship without me. I just don't. All that Chris Paul hate. And again, I don't hate him as a person. From everything that you see on in the media, he grates on his own teammates. But he's in general a really good guy. He is involved in the NBA Players Association. I know he's involved with organizations in whatever town that he happens to be in, because he keeps getting traded. Because again, he has a little bit of a grating personality. But again, I feel like if it wasn't for my hate of Chris Paul and his grating attitude, you know what? I don't know. The Bucks win the championship, so I don't know. We're gonna call this. We're gonna call this my Hater of the Year award. Also, it helps me, not get a dry throat while we're doing the episode today. Now, in addition to that, I did want to talk about some of the things that go hand in hand with that NBA Finals. One of the biggest things to me is I really think it can be an appropriate time to talk about Giannis's candidacy for the Hall of Fame. He's been in the league for 8 years. He's all of 26 years old. We don't generally is middle of career. He's 26. He's coming into his prime. But with what he's accomplished in that short amount of time, I believe that discussing it today, especially in light of what happened, I do believe that that's something that we should consider. Again, he's 8 years in. I will say this: he's 8 years in. Over the last 5 years, he has 5 All-Star teams, 5 All-NBA selections, whether it's team 1 through 3. He's got a Defensive Player of the Year award. He's got an NBA championship. He's got 2 MVP awards. If Giannis went out today in Greece, got hit by a Vespa, and could never play basketball again, I would say the kid, man, whatever you want to call him, has earned his place in the Hall of Fame. You reserve that for the best players. James Harden once said, Giannis is just a 7-foot guy that can dunk. Doesn't really have a whole lot of skill. For a guy that's only 7 feet tall, can only dunk and doesn't have a lot of skill, he just pushed his team to an NBA championship to the tune of having 50 points in the deciding game. Today while I was scrolling Facebook, as we all do in our free time, I was sitting in an airport, so you can't judge me too harshly. But while I was sitting in the airport, for the first time I saw rate these 6 power forwards together, and one of them was Giannis. Now, this is probably the first time I've ever seen an all-time great conversation in regards to Giannis. Again, he's a great player in the NBA today. We all know that. Anybody that watches basketball is like, hey, Giannis is talented. Wish he would develop a more consistent jumper, but you can't really argue with the results of an NBA championship. So I don't think it's too early to sit here and say, hey, Giannis, as of today, should he be considered some of the greats? Yes, he should. Now, a lot of people that I saw, the list, I believe, consisted of guys like Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett. I forget who else it is. But again, he was rated 6th, but I think 8 years into his career, really 5 where he's just been outstanding. Just to give a little more context to what he's had over the last 5 years, he's averaged 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's no small feat. Guys just don't do that for an extended period of time. And we are coming into a time period where you would say this is probably where he is going to shine best. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he stays consistent. Maybe he never wins another NBA championship. And I would say if he never wins another gosh darn thing, if he never played a single second of basketball in the NBA again, I would still say that he deserves a little bit of consideration. I think he belongs in there. It's one man's opinion. But I do not think it's too early to say that in his 8 years, he is, again, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA selection, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA championship, Finals MVP. He put his stamp on. At the end of the day, the Bucks won the championship. Yes, he had help. Chris Middleton came up with clutch shots in Game 6. Drew Holiday's defense on Chris Paul and Devin Booker was probably a lot of the deciding factor. But again, you're not even considering any of this if it's not for Giannis averaging something like 37 points, I believe, per game. Again, I don't think it's too early to start doing this, considering the fact that, yes, he is entering his prime, but he's accomplished a whole lot in a short period of time. Moving to the other side of the ball, where I've already throwing a little shade at him. So I'm going to do this as delicately as possible. But what I'll say is it's what everybody's going to ask. It's what everybody's been asking for the past week. It's probably going to be the narrative up until they figure out what's going on in Phoenix with that team. But is Chris Paul the problem? Now, is Chris Paul the problem? That is the question that's asked everywhere he goes. Maybe not New Orleans, because New Orleans was just an overall poor situation. It was ran so poorly that the NBA had to take control of the team at one point. But maybe a little less so Oklahoma City. Again, he did a lot of good things for that young Oklahoma City team. But with the Clippers, with the Rockets, and now with the Suns, you see a pattern. Now, people threw out, hey, Chris Paul, the only guy that has lost series where his teams have been up 2-0 4 times. One of those times he was injured. We can't really throw that shade at him, but that's always been the narrative. Chris Paul, he's a really great guy, great teammate. He elevates his team. That's what Chris Paul does for your team. He elevates you. But on top of that, he's very grating. And I don't know that that's what happened during the series when things started falling apart. They get the 2-0 lead. They probably should have had a 3-0 lead. And then again, probably should have had a 3-1 lead. But from that point, everything starts falling apart. And you start asking, is Chris Paul the problem? So what I will say, Chris Paul for the playoffs went about 19 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. He did have his lowest turnover rate, or turnovers per game, in any playoff series or playoffs setting that he's had since his rookie season. In any playoff year that he has played double-digit games. The issue is that he would do this at the most inopportune times. Okay, he's not. We all saw a couple of games where he just was passing the ball to the wrong guy or passing it out of bounds. But again, Chris Paul would, for the most part, cover it back up. But then things started getting tight, and you started noticing, certain things. You started noticing while he averaged 2.2 turnovers in the playoffs, he averaged about 3.5 for the finals. You could chalk that up again. Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, they're all great defenders. Good to great defenders. To the point where Giannis was goaltending half of his blocks in that game 6. Yes, I do believe, stiffer competition will lead to bigger mistakes. But you have to look at the common denominator between these things. Now, what I will say to argue against it is you do have some other not so contributing factors. In game 2, you have a guy like Mikal Bridges. Everyone's thought, hey, this is the third. I thought, hey, this is their third guy. This is going to be the reason they probably win the series. He comes out 27 points in game 2. In the next 4 games, he has a total of 31 points. And he didn't exactly shoot poorly either. That was the issue, is when we start talking about is some of this on Chris Paul, is some of this on Devin Booker, is who's to blame here? Mikal Bridges going 8 of 15, getting 27 points in that one game, and then in 31 over the course of 4 games. I don't know if it was he wasn't aggressive enough. There were times he missed open shots, and it just wasn't on. But as Chris Paul being the leader of that team, is it his fault that he wasn't shooting enough, that he didn't feel comfortable? What is it? On top of it, you have guys like Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder shoots 41% for the series. Super great. Here's the problem with it. That 41% is buoyed by games 2 and 3. Games 2 and 3, he goes 9 of 12. Games 1 and 4 through 6, he goes 7 of 27. He essentially does what I've been expecting him to do pretty much the entire playoffs. Jay Crowder, when you have to lean on him, he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. He's the reason that Phoenix got to the finals. He's the reason that Miami got to the finals the year prior. But when you start leaning on a player like Jay Crowder offensively, it's just been who he is in any of his stops. Boston, he was a good player in Boston, but they started having to lean on him offensively, and he would turn into a pumpkin. It's what he would do. And it's nothing against him. It's just when you have a defined role as a 3-and-D guy, but you're needing them to make 40% of their 3-pointers to be competitive or to win games. When they're not an offensive-minded player, it's asking a lot. And again, does that fall on Jay Crowder for turning into a pumpkin that we all know he has been for his career, or is it Chris Paul's fault? I swear I'm not just blaming him. Again, you have to ask these questions because Chris Paul has been there. Chris Paul knows what's going on. Now, Chris Paul wasn't the guy that got stripped at the end of game 5. But Chris Paul was also the guy that stood over Giannis, after fouling him, or tried to undercut him on an alley-oop before that strip. After that strip. Again, it's one of those Chris Paul grading. I don't know if he is exactly the problem, but he has been a problem in the past. And you have to wonder, for all of the good things that Chris Paul does, again, my opinion, top 3-point guard to ever play the game. Just from a skill perspective, for what he has done for multiple teams, he has always elevated the teams that he has gone to. So again, I can't throw shade and say for his career that he's not one of the top 3 guys that's ever played the game. However, he has this energy around him that after a while you wonder, is this what is shattering that team's confidence? Is it the other team? Very well could be. But you do have to wonder, is it him or is it the other team? And again, he's done it multiple places to where I feel like it's a valid question. I do want to throw some love out at my supposed X factor for the series, Cam Johnson. He shot about 43% from three. This is where I go when I say, hey, whose fault is this? Is this Chris Paul? Is this Monty Williams? I'm going to tell you guys right now, I will give neither coach credit for the win for the finals. If the Suns had won, I wouldn't have said Monty Williams coached a great series, a great season. I'd say the players basically, elevated what he was doing and gave him, what do you need? You have to have good players to be a good coach. There's not a single good coach out there that didn't have good players to go along with them. But Monty Williams playing Jay Crowder, who again, admittedly, he's a better defender. Cam Johnson, he is a longer player, but he's much thinner. As far as defense goes, he's active, but he's not built the way that you'd want a standalone defender. Whereas Jay Crowder, muscular guy, can get in guys' way. At times, he did that to Giannis. But at what point do you start sacrificing your offense for the defense? And at certain points, you start wondering, well, okay, Jay Crowder, again, he shot 41%, but outside of games 2 and 3, he wasn't consistent. Now, Cam Johnson shot a whole lot less, shot slightly better. Who knows if things are different if he gets more playing time? But again, I feel like this is it's one of those things that happens. A team loses, and you start looking at who to blame. I'm not going to keep beating this dead horse. What I will say is if I'm being honest, I don't expect either team back. I do think that the Suns would be willing to pay Chris Paul $44 million. I don't see why Chris Paul would try to opt out to get more money. I don't know that money's there. Chris Paul is on a player option. He has the ability to just opt in, $44 million in his pocket. I just don't expect either team to be there. What made up these teams, what got them there, was a combination of luck. But again, Chris Paul's the leader of that team. Now, Devin Booker is the offensive leader of the team. He's probably the spirit of that team. And you could kind of see when he crumbled, the rest of the team crumbled a little bit. But with Chris Paul aging, you have to wonder, is he able to carry a team that far again, especially with other teams being healthy again? Jamal Murray comes back. Anthony Davis is, hopefully going to be, healthy. And, there's always talk of the Lakers trading scrap parts, for all-stars. I don't know how it happens. I understand that if you're a free agent, the lure of going to Los Angeles, despite my personal feelings on the city itself, I understand the allure as a free agent. I don't know why teams habitually keep trading really talented players for kind of their garbage. But you do have these teams that should be improving. Golden State should be better. Should be better than Phoenix. I don't know. We will see next season. On the other side, Milwaukee. They're 3-4 deep. Do I know that they can draft better? Maybe. Are they going to get veterans to come in on, team-friendly deals? Of course they will. They're the NBA champions. It's typically what happens. It can be a little harder to convince people to come up to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's Milwaukee. If you've ever been there, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between with it. But on top of it, I just don't have any faith in Mike Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer's another guy who has been a huge benefactor of having really talented players around him and then kind of shit in the bed, for lack of a better term. So I don't expect either team to be in the finals next year. It's just they have talent. I don't know that everything is going to click in the way it did this season for them. And the NBA now can be a little bit, can be a little bit more forgiving. You can get a little more parity with it because you have things like injuries. You have things like super teams. So, we'll see next season. I think that's all we have for this. The next thing, again, it's one of those things. I will keep beating that dead horse until it's solved. I'm not saying that the man is guilty. I'm saying what is going on currently. It bothers me, and it bothers me because growing up in a household where this was something that I had seen up until my parents split, it's always going to rub me the wrong way. So Trevor Bauer, again, there's talks of him, physically, sexually abusing his partner to the point where he is currently on administrative leave until July 27th, roughly. Now, the Major League Baseball has never been the best at handling anything. I believe it was 1998 was the first time a single player in the history of Major League Baseball caught a suspension. I'm not going to pretend that the Boston Red Sox deserve a pat on the back for being that first team. But then it got into the 2000s, about the 2010s, where they finally had a policy. That tells you where we are as a society, where it took a major league sports organization into the 2010s to start saying, you know what, like, our players abusing women is a bad thing. We should have a policy to punish them. And I understand that was roughly around the time that football, had their incidents coming out, especially with Ray Rice of the Baltimore Ravens. But again, it's just one of those things where if you really look at the history or the lack of history with Major League sports and their policies in regards to domestic violence, it's worrisome. So when you see a guy that's actually suspended for a long period of time, you're like, oh, like there may be something to it. Now, Trevor Bauer maintains his innocence, and any person that doesn't have a video of what happened is going to keep maintaining their innocence. It'd be silly not to. I won't pretend that that's not what goes on. Now, again, I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying that Major League Baseball clearly seems to think there's something going on because they decided to put him on administrative leave. To further the story, the courts put an extension to August 2nd on the restraining order that the young woman has against him. I find that bothersome only in regards to if that woman who is currently pursuing a criminal, there's a open criminal case against Trevor Bauer. As long as there's an open criminal case, that restraining order should exist. I don't care what she says. I don't care what he says. I don't care what the lawyer says. Until that criminal case is open and shut, that's ended, the appeals are all run out, there should be no reason that we end that restraining order. I don't assume that this woman wants to go back and be choked unconscious. She was punched in her genitals. I don't see the benefit for anyone. Not Trevor Bauer. Again, the excuse that came out. Sorry, the reason. Again, we do need to treat stuff as what it is. The reason given was that she likes it rough. That this was consensual. That all of these acts are things that she agreed upon. Now here's where I sit a little weird about it. This is the same guy, and I know I say I'll do it, and very rarely remember to. I actually have the article up, and I will be pinning it to the episode as soon as I'm done. But Trevor Bauer came out with rules at one point for dating, and depending on how you feel about it, it's a little sociopathic. If I'm just being honest, if you look at what certain people do and how they say it and what they say, you start wondering, is this person mentally okay? Again, I will post the story. It was an interview done, but basically he has 3 dating rules. His first one is no feelings. Now, I understand that, some people want to have casual relationships. They don't want to have to deal with feelings. He's a professional athlete. I get it. No feelings, though. I mean, if we're being realistic, people have feelings. That's how we interact with each other. That's how we typically, decide how we're going to treat people. No feelings. I understand it. Again, he's a pro athlete. He has his reasons. It just doesn't sound incredibly great, especially after what he's been accused of. His second rule, it was no social media posts about me while we're together because his private life stays private. To me, it's a little more reasonable. Okay, he's a professional athlete. He doesn't want his business put out there. I don't really see a whole lot wrong with that second rule. But again, if you join it with this first one, you're like, okay, like is it because you do some stuff that maybe you don't want people having out there? Yes, you don't want your private life put out there at all. Nobody really does. I can't say nobody. We have a gluttony of social media. But for the most part, your really personal, your innermost personal stuff, you don't want out there. So I kind of get it. Step 3 is I sleep with other people. I'm going to continue to sleep with other people. If you're not okay with that, we won't sleep together, and that's perfectly fine. We can just be perfectly polite, platonic friends. Now, everybody has their own timeline. But hearing a 28-year-old man talk about, we're not going to have feelings, I'm going to sleep with other people, and you need to be okay with that. I mean, I like it from my first episode was all about setting expectations. Yeah, your first date, essentially you're being told, hey, these are my rules, like it or be gone. I get it. I kind of appreciate somebody who's willing to put it out there. But when you join those 3 dating rules with what he's been accused of, you start wondering, again, is there something wrong with this guy? Is he a sociopath? Is he a little bonkers? Because nothing he says in that interview really leads you to believe like he's a decent guy. Coupled with, again, what he was accused of, nothing he's been guilty of. But again, he is suspended, and it'll probably be, you would hope, until this is resolved. The Dodgers have finally, pulled, they got rid of his bobblehead night. They pulled all of his merchandise from their stores. You would assume that Major League Baseball or the Dodgers are going to say, hey, until this is resolved, you know what, you're going to be gone from the team for a little while. It'll probably be the same thing along with the restraining order. But again, July 27th is when he's supposed to be done. August 2nd is when the restraining order hearing is supposed to happen, provided that it doesn't get extended again. I will provide random updates when I hear anything, along with, the various other couple guys in Major League Baseball who, think beating women or sexually abusing them is okay. But that's all I got for today as far as that subject goes. My last sports-related one today is based around the new COVID rules that the NFL put out there. So you all know I'm a very big freedom of choice guy. Long as you're not harming somebody else with your choice, you should be allowed to do it. Now, I understand that that's not the way the world works, that sometimes your job, mine specifically, my job specifically can mandate that I do certain things because I signed on a dotted line saying that, I will sacrifice certain freedoms in order to serve in the military. So I understand that. I signed up for certain things, and so I sacrificed some freedoms. And I became okay with that. So much to the point that, when the COVID vaccination was made optional, for the longest time, I opted to not get vaccinated. Well, for those of you that don't know me, or don't speak to me regularly, I was recently vaccinated. More or less, I found out that I was soon not going to have a choice. And again, when I signed up for the military, I knew exactly what I was signing up for. I knew that at various points they're going to tell me I need to get this or this or this, and I'm going to have to do it. And I'm okay with that. Now, I don't sit as okay with it in a billion-dollar-a-year company, multi-billion-dollar-a-year company that masquerades as a nonprofit, because the NFL does. I don't have, I'm not as okay with the presumption that you can tell people, hey, you not that they have to, because I should state that the NFL is not stating that anybody has to do a gosh darn thing. They're just going to make your lives really, really hard. So the NFL came out and said, hey, if an unvaccinated person creates an outbreak, your team will be subject to forfeiting games. Makes sense. If you cause an outbreak amongst people, it probably should have been the plan last year. But if you cause an outbreak amongst people, you should probably not be playing a game. Forfeit. Move on in the season. We have 17 games this year to play, 18-week season. If you can't play your game during that time, hey, forfeit the game. But the issue that I have is that it falls in, hey, unvaccinated. So if you're vaccinated and cause an outbreak, it's not a punishment. Now, the reason that I bring this up, and I know some people don't really, I've used this week to the point where some people that I know are probably like, we get it. You have 2 examples of it happening, but 2 examples is more than 0. We had the Yankees twice this year, twice, have vaccinated personnel have COVID outbreaks. Once in May, there was 8 Yankee staff / players had COVID outbreak. And at the time, you're like, oh, you know what? You're bound to have some outbreaks. Well, it's all well and good, except that you're telling everybody this is supposed to be the solution. This is supposed to prevent things like that. But then about a couple weeks ago, 5 more Yankees had a COVID outbreak. Now, under just saying, hey, we're going to educate ourselves, we're going to educate each other, I'm really interested in the subject just solely from the perspective that I understand if you are vaccinated, supposedly the side effects are less. I don't know. Before I got vaccinated, I never got COVID. To my knowledge, I might have gotten some sort of COVID-related illness. I don't know. I got tested. It came back negative. But same thing that happens with a lot of people. I got vaccinated. I got sick for a day. I was fine. Now, then you hear of, there's some side effects. I got one of the vaccinations that has side effects in them. So, okay, this is a personal choice I'm taking upon me because, again, I believe very soon I will no longer have an option. So I might as well, this is going to sound silly to some of you guys, but I might as well be vaccinated, be sick for 24 hours in my hotel room, rather than, get vaccinated and be sick for 24 hours out in 120-degree heat. I was just, that's honestly where my mind's at with it. And I understand it sounds silly to people, but again, I don't know that the outbreak, it really limited a whole lot. It seemed that a lot of the people they came in contact with got COVID, to where you're going to generate skepticism. That's what happens. If you tell people this will help you, and then something to counter it comes out, it's just what happens. It's what happens when we have a news cycle and we have a politician or a public figure say something, and then immediately after that, something to the contrary happens. Like, you are going to generate skepticism to the point where 25% of NFL players don't feel comfortable getting vaccinated. And it's players. I don't know that Jalen Ramsey isn't vaccinated. DeAndre Hopkins is not vaccinated. Leonard Fournette is not vaccinated. Matthew Judon isn't a fan of this either. Like there's been a handful of guys who've said, "Hey, I don't think I should be beholden to you just because you're my employer." And I don't disagree with that. Again, the NFL makes up rules on the fly, and I understand that we'll say, "Well, the science says." Let me just break it down to what the science says. The science says that 95% of American deaths, this is through the CDC. If anybody wants me to actually post the link to the CDC that says this, I'll gladly do it. But this is the people that believe everybody should be mandated to get vaccinated. This is their Bible. But the CDC states that 572,000 of the 601,000 American deaths are people over 50. Makes a lot of sense, right? A lot of people, once you hit 50, it's not the be all end all. Some people have medical problems before that, but you hit 50 and generally bodies start breaking down. Americans notorious for kind of treating our bodies like crap. I like fast food too. I like cheeseburgers. If I don't have medical problems after 50 or before that, honestly, at this point, I'm a little shocked. But again, 572,433. If we're just going to be exact there, 95% for people who just like whole numbers, just around 95% of all COVID deaths in America, they're people over 50. Now, this was as of July 21st. So from January 1st, 2020 to July 21st, 2021, 95% of all American deaths from COVID, as labeled by the CDC, were people over 50. It's 337 people from the ages of 0 to 18. 0 to 17. I apologize. 0 to 17. Like those kind of science things matter to me. Again, I believe if you're over 50, you should seriously consider it. You should. You are in an at-risk category. You need to do what is best for you. Now, you may believe that getting the COVID vaccine isn't what's best for you. You should be entitled to that right. NFL staff and personnel don't have that right. If you are a tier 1 staff member for the National Football League, you do not have an option, period. To the point where Rick Dennison of the Minnesota Vikings, I think he's been the coach in the NFL for about 30 years, will not be coaching this year, specifically because of these rules, because he believes personally that he shouldn't have to be vaccinated. And I see nothing wrong with that. Wear a mask. If you're sick, don't show up to work. Like you have these other rules that make sense. That made sense last year. You want people to wear masks because you feel it creates a safety bubble. I'm okay with that. Those rules where you aren't forcing somebody to put something in their body, because that's where having people wear masks, I always thought was a silly argument for people to say, I'm not doing it. I'm sure if my brother watches this, he'll probably say something, because my brothers refuse to wear masks. I always said it was silly. Said it to his face, said it online. I think it's a silly argument to have. Yes, it's not comfortable. I was just on multiple flights, and I will be on multiple flights this month where I have to wear a mask, despite being vaccinated now. It's not comfortable, but it's not something I'm going to create a big problem with to where I'm going to fight it. But it is a rule that people establish saying, hey, this might keep you or somebody else safe. Okay, putting a piece of cloth over my mouth. If that makes other people feel safe, I'm going to take it off the second that I'm able to, but I'm not going to make a big thing of this. This again, it's where I sit with it personally. That's it. Me personally, I'm not saying you need to believe what I believe. It's where I sat with it. And to where the point, again, you're not giving these people, these NFL players, again, who are overpaid, entertainers. We're the ones that pay them. So, I mean, if you got complaints about, why they're overpaid, we can all look in the mirror. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not going to complain about them at a later date. Just today's not the day. But I do believe that they deserve the option. Hey, look, you have to wear a mask. You have to maintain social distancing. You have to do all those things that you didn't really want to do last year. But the alternative is you have to get vaccinated. Okay, you don't want to do that. Well, okay, you got to wear a mask. It's fair enough. Fair enough. I see nothing wrong with that. You're not asking somebody to alter part of their body. Again, I've heard the arguments, and please, if you have any information out there, I would love to hear more, because I am not fully educated on everything that is COVID. There's a whole lot, but I will say this specific vaccine came around so quick. I understand that there's a whole lot of science that came before it, but specific to COVID-19, there wasn't. This vaccine came around in under a year to where people are concerned about it. January should be the time where the earliest that we would have an approved vaccine through the FDA. And as silly as it sounds, yes, having something approved through the FDA system should matter a little bit. Again, it does to me. It doesn't have to matter for everybody. But when you start telling people you have to put stuff in your body or you're going to face a punishment, you're going to miss people with that, and you're going to get people that want to fight back. It's human nature. Kids, people that have kids know this. If you tell your kids not to do something, you best believe the second you turn your head, they're going to do it. All three of my kids have done it. 2, 4, and 11. All three of them, at their various ages, I've told them not to do something. The second I turn my head, they've all done it. To where I'm not surprised that some adults do that. It's okay. But you need to stop shouting down people and saying, hey, you need to do this because the science says this. Well, if the science doesn't really say it, and there is. Now, if there's another additional piece of science you need to put out there that I don't understand, that they don't understand, do it. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. I've told you guys all the time, I'm okay with being wrong. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I'm okay with it. I've made my bones off of, hey, you know what? If I'm wrong, at least I learned something. And that's all I want to be. But what I don't think I'm going to learn is that you're telling people if you have the same outcome, which again, if you have a vaccinated outbreak, there is a punishment for it. If you have an unvaccinated outbreak, there's a punishment. If you have a vaccinated outbreak, there is none. Same result, different punishment. Now, again, I understand there are some other things that go into that. I just have a problem with same result, different punishment. On top of it, the NFL's come out and said basically if you if you break protocols, you're going to be fined $14,605 or somewhere in that ballpark for breaking protocols. If you're unvaccinated. So if you're vaccinated and break protocols and get people sick and do this, that, and again, you guys all kind of see where I'm going here is that, I have a problem with same result, different punishments. If we're going to make a blanket rule for everyone, if you cause an outbreak, you're getting fined. If you cause an outbreak or your team has an outbreak and you can't field a team, you forfeit a game. Not if you're vaccinated, not if you're unvaccinated, but just if you do this, this is what will happen. It makes a lot more sense to me than saying, hey, because essentially you're saying you have to get vaccinated. And I understand it. I understand that people really think that COVID's going to go away if we reach herd immunity. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. That's actually bringing me around to my final topic of the day. And that's why Kyle, it's why Kyle gets up to the shit he gets up to. It's going to sound silly. Yeah, honestly, yes, you're probably going to, might tune out and be like, this guy's just crazy. But what I'll say is I have drawn entirely too much of my life lessons from movies. And specifically, what I'll tell you in regards to COVID, what I believe is what I learned at, watching Men in Black. Tommy Lee Jones sits down with Will Smith, and Will Smith asks why we can't tell everybody about aliens, and Tommy Lee Jones politely says, hey, a person's smart, a person uses his brain, but people are dumb. They become animalistic. Again, paraphrasing here, but that's how I treat people. That's how I treat this whole outbreak, is that if doctors don't know, they could never tell us. They could maybe tell their friends, maybe tell each other, hey man, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if this is going to work. Do you think that the result of telling the world, hey, we don't know what we're doing, and we're the smartest guys in the room, we're the guys sent here to fix this, and we don't know what to do, do you really think it's going to end well? No, it's not. It's not. People are going to be upset. People are going to react really poorly. We see what happens with people when they get scared. They get violent. They start turning on each other. We basically become the worst versions of ourselves, to the point where, again, I will sit down and have a conversation with someone. I like having individual conversations more than I've ever liked speaking to a group. Typically when I'm speaking in a group, I'm typically very knowledgeable about what I'm speaking about. However, you can always get that one person who starts, well, you got this one little part wrong. And nobody cares about the 99% of what you said. They care about that 1% of what you said that was wrong. And that's what people do, is they kind of hop onto this one little thing that's wrong, which is, again, it's not that I don't have faith in my fellow man. It's that my fellow man has demonstrated time and time again throughout history what happens when they get scared. Now, what really brought this subject around was a different thing I learned. And that's from Roadhouse. I don't know how you couldn't love Roadhouse. I love Roadhouse. And I loved Roadhouse before I knew what Roadhouse was. But the thing I learned from Roadhouse that I've kind of lived my life by as best I can. We all fail. I'm human. But it's be nice until it's time not to be nice. So what brought this about specifically, and there will be various other times that I bring up, again, I live my life and have learned way too many life lessons from movies. But the specific one came in regards to this current COVID topic. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday on the internet. Again, just why I disagree with it. I brought up the numbers. I brought up, hey, this is how I got where I'm at. Well, you're wrong. That was the response. I was told I was wrong. I politely told them, hey, this is where I got my information. If I'm wrong, correct me somewhere. Again, basically just met with more like, you're wrong. You're working off of old information. I asked for that new information. I was more or less told, like, I'm one of those guys that just doesn't get it. And that's typically what people devolve into. People do this real fun thing where when you keep asking questions, I don't ask questions because I am just going to fire something back. I ask a question specifically to people. I want an answer. I want their point of view. And sometimes I'm going to ask follow-up questions. I'm going to ask, why do you believe that? How did you arrive at that conclusion? It's part of learning. I really love learning. That's why I try to get my hands into as many different things as I can, because it's just you can't understand people if you are constantly just sitting in an echo chamber and hearing the same shit that you want to hear. It's just where I sit with it is I want to know. I ask you a question because I want to know what your opinion is on it and how you got there. And again, whatever other 30 questions I might ask you. Now, if you don't want that conversation, bow out. Just do it. It's the easiest thing in the world. I've never understood why people have gotten so hostile about it. But people tend to do this where they get mad because I'm asking the question. I get it, I guess. You want me just to agree with you or say I'm wrong. We all like hearing we're right. I love hearing it right. But that's the thing is this person, you just have an old, you're working off of old information. You just don't get it. I want to. I always do. I always want to get what you are saying. It does not make sense to me to engage in a conversation. Now I understand internet trolling is a big thing. I can't pretend like I've never done it. I've done it to Richard Marx, which for those of you who know who Richard Marx is, good on you. You're old. But if we're going to sit there and engage in conversation about COVID, bringing in things like critical race theory or the New World Order, to me, it says, I no longer want to have a civil discussion with you. Essentially, the way I took it is I was essentially being called a racist. And not that should bug me, but again, when people, like, I would rather the guy call me a racist. That's what it boiled down to. What it boiled down to is I got mad that somebody, subversively called me a racist. And I was like, well, just do it. To the point where, I sunk down to that level and I called them a see you next Tuesday. Not a great word to call anybody. But it's one of those things. It blows my mind where people are then shocked. Like if you're going to come at somebody, you're going to say some out of pocket stuff. And some of you probably saw it post. This is what it's in regard to. This is what it's in regards to. If you are going to say some out of pocket shit, don't be surprised when somebody fires back. You shouldn't be. And that's where I go. I was trying to have a nice civil discussion, and to a point I thought it was at least civil. Maybe not a really good discussion, but I thought it had maintained a certain level of civility up until the person started bringing up like critical race theory, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'd love to be more educated on critical race theory because I have a very rudimentary understanding of it, but this is not the conversation we're having. So I'm a little confused on why this is where our conversation's at. Again, call them the C word. Again, I'm trying a little harder not to swear. Sometimes the F word's going to slip out, but I'm trying. To where the guy was just shocked, like, oh, okay, well, it devolved into me getting booted from a Facebook group, which is a bummer. I actually really enjoyed the conversations we'd have because there's a lot of left-leaning people. I don't lean right or left on everything. There's these it's shades of gray. It's how I live my life. I live my life in all kinds of shades of gray. I believe very strongly in certain things, liberally and conservatively. Another thing that I unfortunately drew from pop culture was, Chris Rock. That's one thing I learned from his stand-up is, there's some stuff I'm real liberal about, some stuff I'm conservative about. It's who I am. That's how normal people function. I find it weird when people are all one way or the other. But again, it resulted in me getting booted from a group that I was like, well, this is a bummer. Again, I watch one of the guys' podcasts from that group. Typically interacting with those people, I learned different things about sports. And, again, this wasn't originally billed as a sports podcast, but that's, what it's turning into, along with podcasts with, my friends, hopefully, more educated people than myself in the future. But I want that sense of community because, again, I like that difference of thought. Because again, I'm capable of being wrong. I'm wrong so much. It's gross. It's gross. Maybe not about sports and statistics. and things of that nature, because that is where I typically draw the line. Is I'm really good with numbers and trying to analyze stuff. But there's stuff hidden in between the lines that again, I ask questions because I don't always understand it. So I ask other people to fill in the blank because it's what I want. But again, I will not. I don't love the idea of leaving people unchecked when you want to subversively call me a racist and then, be like, oh, well, have a nice weekend. No, like, keep it pushing, keep being an asshole, keep up that same shithead energy. See, there we go, swear words. But keep up that same energy that you had. Don't tell me have a nice weekend. You don't mean that, and I don't expect you to. But again, people become very entitled because of this beautiful communication tool we have. I really do like it sometimes. I love doing these podcasts. I love being able to contact family from across the country, across the world, wherever I'm at. It's a beautiful tool that unfortunately gets a little bastardized and used for things in poor taste. And then if you have a little bit of control, people try to exercise that. And so again, I got booted from the group. I have no ill will towards the rest of the people in the group. That one person, I think, is kind of a microcosm of what's wrong with a lot of people today. Is again, they feel very entitled to say things over the internet that you never in a million years would have the balls to say to somebody to their face. I say all kinds of stupid stuff to people's faces, to the fact that my nose has been broken a few times, probably should have been broken a few more. It really should have. I say some things that should get me punched in the face a little bit more. That's just where I sit with it. But I know where I am with that. Some other people, I don't believe that's who they are as a person. Again, I've taken punches to the face. These other people, I honestly, I don't advocate for violence all the time. But every once in a while, some people that just didn't learn manners the right way might need to get punched in the face. Again, be nice. Be nice until it's time not to be. And the time that you start coming out of pocket with stuff, I'm not going to be nice anymore. Now, should I try to be the bigger man? Of course. We all should strive to be better people. But again, I'm work in progress. I really want to be a good example for my children, a good example for anybody that ever watches this show. But again, this is why Kyle gets up to the stuff he gets up to. I just, learned a little too much from pop culture, and it shaped me. But yeah, that's what I have for today. You know what? I don't foresee any problems next week. Again, as I told you guys, I will be traveling over the next few weeks. So I will, at the very least, provided I'm not banished to another Army base with no Wi-Fi, I will try to put out at least one a week. Again, I appreciate everybody that watches. Share to your friends, like the page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like get it out there, because again, I probably don't have enough people disagreeing with me. And again, I like being educated. If you have any questions, if you want to tell me what an idiot I am, not on the comment section, KyleTheWait at Gmail. Again, I have my YouTube. It's until I actually start doing anything with it, it is just me placing these videos up on YouTube. So again, send a link to your friends, subscribe to it. That's the thing I got to do for you guys. Again, it's because I believe in these people. It's my advertising segment. Taj over at Taj TV. I don't know if he's got a show tonight. There's a fight going on that I've been trying not to check while talking to you guys. But Taj TV, TAIJH TV. He's on Facebook. He's on YouTube. He's on Instagram. Like, I want you guys to check him out. If you don't like what I'm saying, you might like what he's saying. He's a real good dude. I appreciate him. He's always pushed me to be better. And so I always want to push out what he's doing. Marcus, speaking of people that, push out the good word, Marcus over at Truth Valley Church, again, he's committed to what he's doing. And it's something that I can say I appreciate. Not being the most religious person in the world, I appreciate what Marcus does for his community because it doesn't stop at the church. He works in his community. Again, he works in law enforcement. He's a good dude. He's a great example of what type of person we should all strive to be. So again, check him out, Marcus over at Truth Valley Church. And lastly, Jason over at the Arizona Flag Company. Beautiful woodworking job. I fucking love what he does. He typically posts stuff weekly. So if you haven't checked it out, go check him out on Facebook. That's Jason over at the Arizona Flag Company. Guys, if you have anything at all you want to reach out, again, we're on Facebook. You have the Gmail going across the bottom line. Keep pushing out the word. Until next week, I appreciate you guys. Remember, be kind.